Well, hey there. Welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a specific film. So the specific film I'm reviewing today is called Fast X. This action thriller is now available in theaters. And I know I can hear you already. The movie's already out in theaters. I know. I try to get press screeners before, but honestly, I've been out of the country on a glorious vacation, and so I'm trying to catch up. So I watched this movie a while ago. Anyway, if you've seen it, comment down below. I'm curious to hear what you thought. For those of you who have not seen the movie yet, it's rated PG-13 and is 2 hours and 21 minutes long. Well, that's pretty long. But the good news is my movie review mom grade is an A-. I got a kick out of it. So let me explain why. The good, the bad, the ugly. I'm going to dive in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, funny lines, and even recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that I think you might also like. All right, you ready? So in a nutshell, Dom Toretto and his family are targeted by the vengeful son of drug kingpin Hernan Reyes. The high-octane summer flick distributed by Universal Pictures was directed by Louis Leterrier. Writing credits go to Justin Lin and Dan Mazzo. All right, so there were a lot of things, obviously, that I liked about the movie. First of all, just like the movie itself, the cast is stuffed. The awesome cast is packed full with fan favorites like returning Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Jason Statham, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Charlize Theron, John Cena, Brie Larson, Scott Eastwood, Jason Momoa, and so many more. It only takes a few minutes before the very first car chase and action sequences begin. After that, it's pretty nonstop adrenaline, which is pretty true to all of these Fast and Furious movies in the franchise. We get a lot of fun cameos, so no spoilers. But Jason Momoa slash Aquaman is hilarious and awesome as an over-the-top villain. I just got a kick out of him. His changing hairstyles and gold fingernail polish kept me entertained as he shined on the screen and stole every scene that he was in. He looked like he was having an absolute blast making this movie, and that always makes movies more fun for audiences. And because of the way he played it, the movie is very self-aware and just a lot of fun. It's really great to see Rita Moreno. She looks fantastic as always. And Helen Mirren, yes, she's such a national treasure. Now, I wouldn't say they're necessarily cameo performances because they have a few speaking lines, but they're very short on the screen, so I won't tell you anymore. There is a lot of visual and spoken humor, and I love them both. There's almost, as I said, nonstop action with entertaining and sometimes pretty doggone cool fight sequences. They're usually way over the top and ridiculous. But some of these, I was like, maybe that could happen. We get to travel all over the world in the movie, and I always love that. If you're a fan of this franchise, you will be very happy to know that there will be a sequel. So keep watching during the final rolling credits for another scene with some important information for the next Fast installment and another fun cameo performance. This movie is delightfully self-aware, as I mentioned, as well as completely cognizant of what the fans want. For that, audiences have awarded the film a very high 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. Unfortunately, film critics are less impressed, scoring the movie at a low 54%. Wah wah. So what did you think? Comment down below. It definitely feels like a summer blockbuster overall, with all the epic scenes and big moments that you would expect and want in the summertime while you're popping that popcorn into your mouth. And congrats to the stunt team for their excellent work as always. All right, so with that praise, let me give you just a few things that I didn't like or just thought could have been done better. So, for example, the movie ends abruptly without resolving everything, almost anything. The film felt unfinished, even though it was such a long movie. Obviously, there's a sequel. All of the main characters get their moment in the sun in this movie. However, not all of the characters' situations are resolved, as I mentioned. Some of the characters get completely dropped after their big moment, and then we never even see them again. So that happens when you've got such a stuffed cast. You're trying to give everybody some time in the movie, and so you just spin through them pretty quickly. Spoiler alert, what happened to the traditional Fast and Furious ending of the movie with all the family eating at a barbecue, right? The movie ended more like an Avengers Endgame with all the characters scattered all over the place. So now we've got to wait for the next installment to see what happens to everybody. There are a lot of flashbacks that might confuse new viewers about the timeline. And honestly, if you have not seen any of these Fast movies, you're going to be a little bit confused because some characters show up and everybody's like, oh, you. And you're going to be like, I don't know who you are. So, start from the beginning. Well, there are a few you could skip in between. Maybe watch the last three, maybe to catch up with some of these characters. And then just ultimately, there are a lot of characters to keep track of. So newbies aren't going to quite understand how everybody is connected, nor appreciate their backstories, nor know about their backstories. So let me give you some tips for parents. There is some profanity, destruction, lots and lots of destruction, lots and lots of violence, people in perilous situations, violence with weapons, as well as hand-to-hand combat, and a very high dead body count. So older kids, PG-13 and older, I think could handle it. Young kids, it depends on you as a parent, and it depends on your kids. Honestly, I think my kids, my 4 boys, when they were younger, maybe 10, might have gotten into it. But younger, they probably would have been bored a little bit. They certainly wouldn't have understood all of the stories and the characters and the plot and all that kind of stuff. They would have just liked the action sequences, I think. But anyway, let me tell you some of the themes that are illustrated very well. First of all, legacy, family, and the definition of family that's been expanded throughout the whole franchise. Revenge, protecting those you love, sacrifices, choices, and faith. All right, so not necessarily faith in God, but faith in yourself, faith in other people. So as I was writing down movies, I always write down funny lines and interesting lines simply so I can share them with you so you can get a taste and a feel for the script and the dialogue. But I noticed I didn't write down any funny lines, which was weird because I thought the movie was funny, especially whenever Jason Momoa showed up. But I did write down some interesting lines I'll share with you. I have them all on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, so you can check them out over there. So anyway, one of the lines is spoken by Cypher. So she is a returning character, a villain, played by Charlize Theron, who's gorgeous and awesome and can kick butt and be beautiful at the same time. But anyway, so she says, she shows up to this other bad guy, and he's like, what are you doing here? And she says, I'm here because the enemy of my enemy is you. Taken from the quote, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so obviously she was interested in forming an alliance. And then in another moment, she says, there's a war coming. And you're like, oh, what's happening? What's coming? And then Vin Diesel plays Dominic Toretto, who's, kind of the leader of this family. And he says to somebody, nothing's impossible. You just have to have faith. And that's, again, one of the themes of the movie. And then Dante, who's played by Jason Momoa, says, I'm your legacy. And part of that involves a conversation about family is legacy and family what's important. And he's like, no, 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 I'm your legacy. He's so over the top and delicious. It's really fun. All right, so before we go, let me give you some recommendations for some other movies that I think are sort of similar that you're going to get a kick out of. Obviously, The Fast and the Furious, the original, should definitely be on your list. But then I'm kind of putting in order some of the other ones that I thought are more recent and kind of catch you up on some of these characters. So one is Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Now that one's kind of a little different spin-off, but kind of a fun summer blockbuster popcorn movie that you'll get a kick out of. And then Furious 7. Again, you can go in any order, but it's an amazing franchise. And obviously, it has a fan base for it to last this long. And they keep upping the ante every time with their stunts and props and set designs and action sequences. It's pretty amazing. All right. Thank you so much for spending time with me and watching my review. I hope that was helpful. And if you have seen the movie, like I said, comment down below. I want to hear if you thought it was as good as I did. I mean, it's not going to win any big Oscars for anything necessarily. Maybe action sequences or special effects, because it's just amazing what they can do. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.